This is Kurt Doty with RealmIQ. We're having another RealmIQ session, and our guest today is Vonti McRae. Really fantastic guest. We're so excited to have you. And please introduce yourself and tell us your background and how AI has empowered you in your new business ventures and what you're doing every day with content.
Well, first of all, Kurt, thank you so much for bringing me on and letting me discuss that. I love that you said businesses because it is very much plural. I'm one of those small business owners that once I come up with an excellent idea, I try and implement it as soon as possible. So I tell people I'm not a talker, but I'm actually a doer. So yeah. So
Awesome.
my background, yeah, absolutely, right. So my background is actually I used to work over at Sony Pictures in LA, and then I moved back to New York, where I'm originally from. I'm a Brooklynite and everything, born and raised. And so then I went over to HBO for 9 years. So dealing with those big brands and everything, multi-billion-dollar brands that were releasing a lot of content high velocity, I realized that you can translate that over to small business as well, as far as making your stuff look very professional, modern, and making it look big budget on a much smaller budget, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the exciting thing is, for instance, I was telling you, I created Vonti Talks with Filmmakers, which is a behind the scenes look at some of your favorite films, but the crew members that actually create that. So we're always focused on talent, right?
Yeah.
We're always focused on those actors and actresses, but we don't focus on the cameramen or the production designers or the key grips or what a director or producer even does, right? So that is what my podcast actually focuses on. Now, we are only 2.5 months in, and I've already been able to launch this podcast. And what I did was strategic wise, if you go to my website, filmcombopodcast.com, that's actually an AI generated website. So I was able to build out my entire podcast business, 80% of it using these AI websites. And that included booking these guests and everything. Like, for instance, on Tuesday, I'm going to be interviewing an Oscar winning producer, which is amazing. And we're talking me being 2.5 months in, not someone I knew, not somebody from my network or anything like that, but coming to these high level people looking very professional and very branded.
Awesome.
So,
Well,
thank you.
congratulations. So I lived in Brooklyn for 7 years or for 5 years back in the day.
Nice.
Fort Greene. Where did
Oh, yeah.
you hail from?
So I hailed from all over Brooklyn. I had a family member that was a police officer, so you're not really allowed to stay in the area that you're actually policing. So
Yeah.
we moved to like Bed-Stuy, East New York, Far Rockaway, Queens. We lived in Brownsville. We lived like pretty much all over Brooklyn. Right now, I'm no longer in New York, but I still have my apartment, which I will keep forever. And that is actually in the Crown Heights area near the Brooklyn Museum.
Oh
So,
yeah, no, wonderful area.
oh yes,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
excited.
So I have listened to your show. It's very entertaining, and I love your premise of talking with the people who are more behind the scenes than
Mhm.
the director and the cast. And um, I come from a Hollywood tradition as well. I was at Universal for many years. The market.
Oh, I need to interview Kurt, you guys.
Oh no,
Let
no.
him know.
I
Come on,
I
give us your
I, I,
experience.
le I left Hollywood about 12 years ago to work with Fortune 500 companies. So, but yeah, I learned the whole cradle to the grave process of filmmaking and
Mhm,
distribution and marketing of movies. So
mhm,
it was invaluable, and it was fun. It was a 5-year run, and worked with hundreds of films and many
mhm.
big time directors. So it was fun. It was good. But in any case, tell me how AI has beyond your website, how AI has helped you in your businesses. And I know you have multiple businesses and ventures.
Yes.
So tell me what tools have helped you and how you've used them and how you were able to ramp up so quickly to gain credibility to have filmmakers approach you and say, I want to be on your show.
Exactly. It's only, I mean, one guy just 30 seconds into the pitch. But what happened is there's a misconception out there, right? I'm not using AI to write screenplays. right?
Yeah.
And I also feel like a lot of these AIs, you still need to customize the content. For me, what they're doing is giving you that template, right? So, like, say for Chat GPT or even Chat Sonic, which is with Write Sonic, you still have to go in and give them those prompts, those optimized prompts. So, the more information that you feed into these websites, the better the template and the customization is going to come out of, right? So I've had them write me grant proposals, sales proposals, marketing plans and everything, marketing strategies, for instance, for the next 90 days. So I feel like with Chat GPT, theirs is like 2 years old information, but with Right Sonic, Chat Sonic, that is immediately plugged in to the Google feed as well. Bing as well is also a search engine right now that is using AI to optimize, right? So we also use brandmark.io for the logos. We use Try It On AI for the headshots. So if you look on my LinkedIn, also on my website, all of that stuff, that is not an actual headshot of me that I had professionally done. That is AI generated, right? But I tell people as well, it's cost effective. So it was only $17 for me to get 150 AI generated headshots when you would charge over $1,000 sometimes to get it professionally done, right? Unfortunately, for photographers, maybe, or professional photographers, that might be their bread and butter, right? But we always have to pivot. I tell people all the time with AI, we went from VHS to DVD and Blu-ray. We never went back to VHS. We did the same thing with CDs and audio tapes and records, right? We do not reverse once technology comes back. So you have to adjust yourself. Another website that we use is Durable for the website. So if you go to filmcombopodcast.com, you go to durable.com, they will build you out a website in 30 seconds, right? And it's only $20 a month,
Uh-huh.
and you can get a professional website done. Or if you're a business, they will allow you to build 10 websites for $50 a month. It comes with the CRM software, it comes with web hosting. They will even create you a domain, or you can pull in your current domain in no time at all. I'm telling you, my website, it only took me across 2 days and 3 hours each day. So a total of 6 hours for me to build out my website. You can embed code on that thing. You can upload YouTube videos. You do all the links for your social channels like that. It's the most user-friendly thing for somebody that is not technology driven, right?
That's awesome.
And yeah,
No
another
code, no
website.
code website, right?
Yeah, no code. I mean, you can do codes, but a lot of the times, most website is giving you the embed code anyway. So I just pulled that down. If you go on youtube.com, and I've been uploading my podcast episodes, if you go to send out your content, you know how they have the shareable links, they have an embed code option there. I literally copied and pasted it and brought it over the Durable. That's how easy it was. And now it is embedded into my website. It looks professionally done. Things that would cost you thousands of dollars. And I want to make it clear to the audience that's listening in, small businesses does not have the capital right away, right? But why does our stuff need to look like crap? It doesn't.
Right.
Not with these AI apps. We cannot afford that. But I think that is going to then help with sales to get you there where you can now hire those big marketing firms that have 10 to 15 people charging you 3,000 a month to host it or whatever the case may be. You can eventually get there when things are overwhelming. But for those upstart companies, Kurt, I feel like AI is where you need to be at. I literally launched
Fantastic.
a
Yeah,
podcast
we
business.
used to call it bootstrapping. So now it's AI is the bootstrap, the new bootstrap.
Yep. There's another one called Gamma, the Gamma app. I use that for my PowerPoint presentations. It literally made me a PowerPoint 30 seconds. It pulls you copyright free images down. What I did was I fed in, so I wrote about 2 pages of the actual concept. I fed that into Chat GPT to streamline what I was trying to say, and then I fed that into Gamma. And it made me a presentation in 30 seconds that was like 10 to 15 pages long, structured, organized. It even followed the links that I had listed in there and
Okay.
pulled that information in to
Oh,
summarize it. So
wow.
this was
It's like,
exactly a lot of these apps as well for AI gives you credits as well for when
Yeah,
you first
that's
get on
important.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can do like 6, 7 presentations for free, download them as an MP4, a PDF, a PowerPoint presentation. I know that I'm rambling on, but this is what
No,
I want to do.
I love your excitement, and I know it's happening. And professionally, this is what I've done for years: is
Yeah.
marketing and PowerPoint presentations, sales
Hmm.
decks, certainly the identities of companies. I still haven't really found a good platform that does corporate identity as well as the handcrafted logos that are enduring and ownable. But
Hmm.
I think it'll come. I think there were announcements this week from Adobe around, more vector-based generative AI, which has been the stickler. A lot of us has been, kind of low-res JPEGs, 1024
Hmm.
by 1024, which is great for online publishing and all that. But,
Hmm.
for bigger purposes, I came from the movie poster world. It's like,
Yes.
you need billboard size imagery. So, how do
Hmm.
these little small JPEGs translate to big marketing print and outdoor campaigns? I don't think they do at this point. There's this thing
Hmm.
called in the print world and Hollywood marketing, and these people who are finishers. So they're the ones who take these kind of rough, great movie posters that are greenlit,
Yes.
and then okay, now we're going to completely kind of repaint it and make it 600 ppi, and give it a life outdoors in high resolution, and
Hmm.
those people will not be out of work because
Exactly. That's what I mean.
even
It's like
even if idea generation for movie posters and stuff is done in Midjourney, which I think, why not, it's still going to be combined with a portrait of The Rock, right? And,
yes.
in all his glory, but everything around it, action scenes or environments or, concepts about whatever these worlds that, might be incorporated in a movie, that could be AI generated. And,
Hmm.
you create this, again, there's a human at the center of that, right?
Yes.
Orchestrating that movie poster design. That's not going to be
And
lost.
if you think about it, think about this. When you're working with advertising, you still have to do a pitch deck with your concept,
Yeah.
right? But if you can save time by generating those images, pulling down the copyrighted free stuff, like you said, of like The Rock and maybe him wrestling or an upcoming scene of an action adventure, you can still pull that together, put it into the pitch deck as your pitch to them.
Yeah.
And then you say, we're going to customize our company. So, what it is just saving that initial step to where if you now have 50 campaigns that you're trying to go after, right? So
Right.
like a fashion designer that would have like the swatch book. Remember that they would go to these places and
Yeah.
show the swatches that they were thinking
Yeah.
of
This is
using and
next
all of
year's
that.
colors.
Yeah, exactly. So you still have to do all of that, right? But what it is time saving for those other little steps, like tracking and like data analytics and all of that stuff. The data mining of these AI apps is ridiculous, right? It's saving you time so you can get to the core stuff. Like you mentioned, which is the design, which is the PPIs and all of that, and like high def and 4K and all of that imagery. Is not taking that away.
Yeah.
The human mind is still an amazing creative thing. It's only providing you the most generic, basic stuff. It's not going to be able to create you an entire 3 hour film that's going to, you know what I mean? That's going to be like released at box office for 100 million.
Yeah, no, it's not going to. And the threat, the perceived threat, by the Writers Guild and the Actors Guild. I understand having, what I call synthetic media. I don't want to call it deep fakes because
Yeah,
there's great things happening with synthetic media with avatars. And, people's likenesses are important to own that.
absolutely.
And so we need to be combating piracy around synthetic media and use of anybody's image. I'm not a
Yep,
celebrity, but I don't want people to replicate me and say that that's me.
yep.
So you can only imagine, the recent Tom Hanks controversy about a dental commercial, how he had nothing to do with it.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
It's a problem.
Mhm.
But, the fact is, computer graphics in movies
Mm-hmm.
have been here for forever. Special effects and computers, CGI imagery, the de-aging of Harrison Ford, the latest Raiders of the Lost Ark. So they didn't cast a young Harrison Ford to play that part. They just de-aged him, and so
Mm-hmm.
he kept his likeness and control of it, and they just de-aged him in the movie, so he didn't lose work.
Yeah, like Terminator. Remember they did that with Arnold Schwarzenegger as
Yeah,
well a few years back? But I think,
right.
I mean, with those things at the same time, Kurt, what it is that the problem is a lot of legislation has not been brought forth, right? So is Kurt able to go after the studio if they utilized his stuff? And that is where the loophole was,
Yeah,
right? So Arnold Schwarzenegger and all them, they had it in their contracts for
yeah,
them to do that. If you're going to use my likeness, you're going to have to pay me, right?
yeah,
So what it is that they're trying to close up that loophole. So once the technology keeps growing, you have it in the contract now that you're allowed to sue the hell out of people,
yeah.
not to
No,
be,
those are
vulgar and
called
stuff.
paid ad agreements with talent.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to review those for each movie when I was at the
Mm-hmm.
studio, because I was, creating key art with my vendors, doing trailers, and talent would need to either have a set of approved images. We call that the key set of imagery,
Mm-hmm.
and we could draw from that easily and not have to worry about talent being upset about that, because
Mm-hmm.
we would do gallery shoots with the talent. We get 1,000 photographs of them,
Yep.
and then we send them those photos, and then they choose, well, here's 20 you can use. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so we use those
And you
20.
would
We're
build the whole
safe. We're
marketing.
safe.
Yeah.
If we
Yeah.
use those, any photo outside it, the talent didn't approve that. They go, why is that in the movie poster? uh,
Exactly. You definitely, it's a
so,
lot of
so
checks
yeah,
and balances.
it's what's in those paid ad contracts, which will
Mm-hmm.
control their image, which historically it's always been that way. So yeah, it's a new technology, and so if it's in the contract, whether their agent is pushing for that, or the studio is pushing for that, or maybe the studio is fighting the agents, protecting their clients. I think that's, the discussions that are going on, but it's a legal thing that can be worked out.
Yes.
It's not going to be all of a sudden, the Rock's image is now in concerts across the country as a virtual hologram, and somebody's making money and he's doing things. What, he's a singer now? It's like, what? How did that happen? That's where
What?
it's going to go.
Yeah. Is
Yeah.
he doing hip hop dancing? Yeah.
Yes,
No, so
exactly.
and I think also because I'm a screenwriter producer as well. Another thing with the screenwriting portion is they didn't want it to be where you have Chat GPT or some kind of program kicking out an entire script, like an entire screenplay that's not customized, because now you're crossing certain lines, right? Like an entertainment lawyer can now be like, oh, write a movie action adventure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Pitch it to Sony, and then you're getting all of this money when there's actual writers there that have trained and really know the craft. Because again, it is beyond generic. There's no emotional input from that. They don't know who Kurt is. They have no idea who Vonti is.
Yeah.
But based on our discussion now, we both know we lived in Brooklyn before, right?
Yeah. All right. So
ChatGPT is
there's a
not going to know
movie,
that. Yeah,
Escape from Brooklyn.
yeah, the Escape from Brooklyn. They're not going to know the nuances of your emotions and everything. So again, that is what they're trying to protect, is that you won't be allowed to put generic info and then maybe bring in a screenwriting editor to make your stuff look better. It's like go to the actual source.
Yeah,
But
it needs to start
yeah,
with the writers, not start with a studio. The
yeah.
story needs to start with a writer, and they can use these tools to help them. They own that. It can be bought, but they own that process. They should own that process. They should embrace it and own it, and
Hmm.
and yeah, kind of fight the risk of them losing the industry losing humanity in the process of creative writing. Not
Oh my
that
goodness.
Hollywood has has always pumped out great movies. They've pumped out a lot of horrible movies. And
Yes.
who wrote those? Oh, humans. Or a studio executive
Hmm.
said, I think we need to do the 10th sequel of whatever movie from the 80s. Uh, But that, I mean, that was a
But then
crisis.
it can help in other ways though, right? So say if it is not to name drop, but like a Fast and Furious franchise, right? And you wanted to do a spin off, right? Maybe AI could data mine all of the scripts and pull in commonalities against those maybe 10 screenplays. Because
Yeah.
again, it's data mining, right? But it's not writing it. It's
Yeah.
pulling the idea like, hey, by the way,
Research. It's research.
yeah, Vindy, it's a lot of research and it's researching fast versus like you want to do a historical film on Napoleon, but now you have to go back a couple hundred years and go through a whole bunch of data about this person. So, it's time saving, but again, it's still customization. And I will always say that. To go back to what we were discussing as far as like the AI stuff with small business, the reason why I reached out to you, Kurt, was just to say, what I want to do is teach people like AI for dummies, right?
Mhm.
Because right now we have people that have this large jargon and vernacular and the way that they're saying it to people, and they're not simplifying it for the everyday person. And I want to be that voice for them, and you want to be that voice for them. So where it's not over their head, because
Yeah.
the technology isn't going anywhere, right? And I have to be honest, as a Black woman, a lot of times my Black people are left behind when it comes to transitioning in technology, which is why we see these STEM programs just now being made. Because how can somebody that lives in the hood afford a certification that costs thousands of dollars?
Yeah.
It's not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
if if Blow Joe is living in the hoods of Brooklyn or wherever they're from, and they're going to public school, how can they afford something that's thousands of dollars that then progress them to the next level? What I want to do is fill that gap and help small business owners or anybody that wants to help on how to create a modern, branded, well looking product,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, that can be utilized with AI and done in half of the time.
Yeah.
I will tell you right now, any business that I've developed cost me less than 1,000, maybe less than $500 to get it off the ground.
Yeah.
And I mean, from the promotional materials, the marketing materials, the videos, all of that stuff. Like I said, $50 a month for 10 websites that is hosted by them. Come on now.
Yeah.
So I want to go down the rabbit hole and just be very transparent on what you can learn and how you learn it.
Yeah. And again, empowerment should not be a caste or a class system.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to lift everyone up.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that idea that it can lift everyone up, democratizes the process, it democratizes the possibility for success. Good
Yep.
ideas can come from anywhere, from anybody.
From anybody. Absolutely.
And if given the right tools, these barriers come down, and all
Mm-hmm.
of a sudden there's access to success, access to a better life, access to
Yep.
new monetization. And
Absolutely.
that's the opportunity. And what gets lost in what I call the horrible branding of AI is this association with I'm a branding guy, the association with robots, right? I talk about this in every show
They're
actually, but
like,
it's what are you saying by including robot in your imagery?
mm-hmm.
Like would you on your show, would you ever associate a robot with the branding of your show? It's like
No.
it makes no sense. However, you just said I was able to do this because of AI.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't interact with any robots.
Yes.
And so it feeds into the T2 Terminator 2 dystopian Hollywood version of artificial intelligence. And
Yes.
I just, I keep hammering this home. It's like, please don't use robots. Is there some other metaphor you can use? Be creative. It's a lot of hacks out there that are supposedly AI experts, that it's so easy to generate a robot image on Midjourney or find a stock photography of robots and
Mm-mm.
say I'm cool because I'm using robot imagery talking about AI. It's like, but what was your purpose in doing that? Do you
Yeah.
realize you're putting out a negative perception of this great technology by you choosing to use that imagery. And so, I think empowering images, I wrote, a blog about, be a hero. Maybe that's the blog you saw, I don't know. But here, be a hero. And I prompted Midjourney. I said, draw a female African American woman empowered as a
Hmm.
superhero. Because if I would have just said, prompted, create a superhero image, that
Hmm.
is a writer. Well, guess what? It would have been Iron Man, a white
Yeah.
dude in a suit. But because I purposely and purposefully
Hmm.
prompted a minority, a female, I'm training my AI to say, we need to do better. And so I think people need to do that. And I think they need to stop using robots. And
Hmm.
even the palette of AI is associated with the debacle of the metaverse and Web3, that it's this cyberspace.
Yeah,
No, that
it's the
it's all
cloud
slick and
machines you can go.
cyber
Yeah,
when it's
it's the
like,
cloud machines you can go in.
yeah, right. It's like, it's software. It's software people, and the creative people using it are trying to create worlds that don't look like metaverse or Web3. They're actually making films or having podcasts, having conversations that have nothing to do with that techno, retro, punk, new wave
Oh
imagery,
my God.
right?
And that I think is really important to say, because when I use this stuff, it's like creating a PowerPoint presentation. You drop an image in from here, you drop some wording in from there. It is very basic stuff. You bring in some numbers from Excel, you do that, and like you mentioned, they're thinking it is so over the, it's like one of those a room of cloud machines or something, or you
Yeah,
need to be an engineer in order to do it. And we
right.
need
Oh
to
no.
teach very transparent steps on, like, listen, you drop your image here and then you type this in and you do that, you pull that down and you save it, and then boom, there you go. I think that's what we definitely need, is the transparency. And I definitely are in agreement with you as far as like the robotic stuff, and like, no, nobody's coming down with an arm, you guys, and pressing your computer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're
Out of
logging
the
on to
screen.
a
Out of the
website. Yeah,
screen.
yeah, it's none of that.
A robot arm.
It's
No.
almost like when you're doing a Google search, or you want to post something on Instagram, you want to make a video on Instagram. So you type in word in and you put hashtags and things of that nature. A lot of these AI platforms are pretty much the same, right? But it's doing it in half the time, and you can schedule out stuff. So, when marketing takes so long, right? You want to do posts every single day, but you do not have the bandwidth, right? Some of these websites will automate that for you,
Yeah.
like Predis. Predis.ai is another one. It links all of your social media accounts to where if you post one thing, it goes across all five of them. But then it will also generate video and all of that based on, again, the input that you give it.
You're right.
If you say, hey, I'm Kurt and I do a weekly discussion with, filmmakers or AI people or tech folks and everything. You type in those functions, it's going to create you all of these marketing posts that support that initiative,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
then you get to schedule them out, and you say release one every single day at 6 a.m. on every single social platform. So then that's building that audience, because you're being consistent. You're coming up on people's algorithm,
Yeah.
which people don't realize as well. When you reshare posts on LinkedIn, you're then coming up on those people's feeds. So
Right.
then their friends can then see your stuff. It's stuff
Yeah. It's
behind the
not just
scenes people
commenting.
don't
It's
realize.
not just commenting, it's reposting. People don't know that.
Yes. And tagging the person as
Yes.
well. And
Right.
it's not being phony. If you actually like what you're reading, why not give back to the original poster,
Credit.
right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Don't this is the problem with social media, is like, don't just rip off that image or
Hmm.
do a pull quote and not attribute it. It's like, come on. So hopefully AI can rectify all that. I was talking with an ethics expert, Andy
Hmm.
Mon, and he was saying we need to sick AI on AI, because that will solve the problem. governments aren't going to solve this problem.
Oh
You have to
no,
use the
yeah.
technology to solve the technology problems.
Ooh.
And so the technology is not the problem. It's like the fear of it becoming sentient and them
Mhm.
deciding that we don't need humans to run our
We need to have
organization here.
15.
Yeah. So
What
it's
we
like,
need
how do
is
you use these
15
smart
kill switches. We
yeah,
need
how do you use these
15
smart
kill switches.
machines to make the machines smarter, but for good, right?
Yeah.
Innovate for good. That's another hashtag I use.
Innovate for good. Exactly. Innovate for good. Do 15 kill switches that are around the world. So if they override one, another one comes and another one.
What a concept. Yeah, see, a human being came up with that concept. So we can
Exactly.
implement that, right?
AI is not going to do it. AI is not going to say, you know what, let's create a kill switch for my guy next door.
Yeah.
When he starts breaking stuff. Another worry for me, I'll be honest, is to be honest, at the end of the day, these are human elements behind a lot of this technology, right? It's someone that has developed the concept and then, it has run on its own, right? Almost like nanotechnology or something like that, right? The biggest thing concern for me, and I'll be honest, is the disgruntled employee.
Mm, okay.
The disgruntled employee that likes to break stuff as they're going out the door.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
like
Well,
somebody
what
that's
are
like,
the
oh, you want to fire me?
HR, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
you want to fire me? I'm
yeah,
going to break this thing. I'm going to make this thing. I'm going to put prompts in this thing to
right.
do some serious damage. That is my biggest concern. Is somebody that has built the technology, helped it, knows all the steps of it, and then is like, oh, so you don't want to pay me the money that I'm worth. Let me go ahead and destroy some
Yeah,
stuff.
let me put your financial earnings into ChatGPT or your business
I
plan,
mean,
your 5-year business plan into ChatGPT, right? It's like,
and all your contacts and email addresses. And I mean, because think about it, hacking. I was at Sony when Sony was hacked and everything. Yeah, I was at HBO when they were hacked and the Game of Thrones episode got leaked, to where we had to do things, after that tried to curtail it and everything. And ever since then as well, there's still stuff that gets hacked. There's companies that were having our DVD Blu-ray content, and they just did not have the security. We could watermark the mess out of that sucker, but it still, once it left the US, it was like a free for all. So there's definitely ways.
it's
There's
a
some
problem.
very smart.
There was a problem that existed before, and now it's maybe amplified or more accessible because everyone can become a hacker now.
Not us, not the everyday blowjo.
Yeah,
Not us, because there's a lot of coding behind that sucker. Not
yeah,
us. I'm not that advanced.
yeah. Well, listen, we're entering our half an hour here, and thanks so much for joining. I love your spirit and your energy and your enthusiasm and your advocacy. Keep fighting the good fight and succeed in what you do. And we want to have you back for more discusussion. I hope you will join
Absolutely.
us.
And the name real quick of the company is going to be We Teach AI. Just that
Okay,
simple.
there
We'll
you
be
go.
rolling out. Yeah, we'll be rolling out in the next month or so. I'm actually the end of this month going to teach a group of filmmakers out of New York on with the AI stuff. So that'll be the preliminary. And if anybody is interested on finding out about filmmakers, the cast and the crew, filmconvopodcast.com. Vonti talks with filmmakers. I would love, Kurt, for you to tune in. Others, I think you watched an episode
Yeah.
already.
No, I listened to the Netflix one. Yeah, it was great. You're an entertaining host, so great job, and you're
Oh, thank
an
you.
entertaining guest as well. So thank you, and
Thank you so
I'm
much,
glad you
Kurt.
got to plug your show. Thank you. And so
Thank you.
everybody who's watching, please keep coming back for more of these episodes, Realm IQ sessions. We have some terrific guests. Thank you, Vonti, and best of luck. And
Thank you, Kurt.
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. You can now catch RealmIQ sessions on your favorite podcast channels, including Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and iHeart Podcasts. Or listen to the full sessions at kurtdoty.co/RealmIQ. If your company is interested in reaching an audience of AI professionals and decision makers to promote your event or product, we do have sponsorship opportunities. If you enjoy these discussions on AI, please push that subscribe button below. I'll see you in the next video.
RealmIQ. Book your corporate AI workshop today.
Subscribe to our Media Slam newsletter and learn more about the intersection of design, content, and technology.
KurtDoty.co. Branding, marketing, and product development.